Hello and welcome back to part 2 of our top-down racing series. Now, we've got a car, we can press the flag, we can drive it around with our arrow keys, we can reverse, it's all working pretty well. We made sure that the axis of rotation was up here in the front wheels. It feels really nice, but there's nothing to do yet, so we need a track. Now, to do this, we're going to click just here on our stage area, and we've already got a backdrop, so we can click in here and then come up here on the left to backdrops, and now we've got a blank backdrop. And in here, we're going to draw our track. Now, a couple of things. We need to make sure that because this is a race, it's a closed loop track, okay? You can't have it go from one side to the other. Then it's really hard to have a circuit race, which is what we're trying to do here. So, before we do anything, we're going to use our fill tool and we're going to pick a greeny grassy color by dragging these up, and we'll grab a green and we might make it a bit dark for the grass. And using this fill tool or the paint bucket here, we're going to click in here and we're going to make it green. But hang on a second, it doesn't work. And it doesn't work because we haven't drawn a shape to fill. So we can actually get around this limitation here by converting our little backdrop costume here to a bitmap. And now we can just simply press in here and we've got grass. Now, if you wanted to make like a pixelated art style track sort of thing, you could stay in this bitmap mode, but we don't want that for this project. So we're going to convert our project back to vector now that this background is green. So now we can just draw our track on top of the grass. Simple. So let's go back to our brush tool. We're going to make the size 99. Actually, can we make it bigger? No, we can make it 100. Nice. We're going to make it 100 and we're going to change the fill to like a dark gray color. We don't want it to be black and we don't want it to be really light gray. We want it somewhere in the middle, maybe somewhere around brightness 25. Okay, and for the sake of this project, try to keep the track somewhat simple. Okay, don't go too crazy. Save that for another time in your own time where you make your very own top-down racing game. But for now, let's just draw a very simple shape. Yours can look however you want. Again, just try to keep it simple for this project. Join it back up. That looks okay. And that is kind of it for this. So now we need to add a start/finish line. So we're not actually going to draw it here on the backdrops because we want to later on trigger a lap counter by touching sprites. Okay, and we can't do that because we're in the backdrops right now. So before we add a new sprite, let's do the right thing over here. We'll click on sprite 1 and then we'll change the name of it to car just so we don't get confused. And then we're going to hover over the cat head and click on the paintbrush. And before we do anything, let's name this one start, we'll do capital S, start/finish. Nice. All right, now using the line tool, maybe on a size of 10 and the outline as white by adding the brightness or putting the brightness all the way up and then the saturation all the way down, we're just going to draw a line that can cross over that road. So that looks pretty good, and we can come over here and drag it into our position where we want the start of your race to be. And it could be anywhere. You could put it up here, you could put it there. If you want to put it on the sides over here, you'd have to place it, and then using the select tool, you could rotate your line like that, and we could have our start line over here. But I'm going to Command Z or Control Z and make it vertical again, and then make my start line about here. Now, we're about to get into some really tricky stuff, so I'm going to leave this video here. That was fairly easy. If you want to add some little details to your track, like maybe some red and white curbing, or maybe some top-down looking trees, or maybe a pit lane, you can go crazy with it if you want. It's up to you. I'm going to leave it there, and I will see you again in part 3.